And to get some more perspective on this unique case, we are joined by retired FBI agent Rich Coco. Richard, thank you so much for joining us. When you hear charges like conspiracy to transport undocumented immigrants, harboring undocumented immigrants, money laundering, and false identification documents altogether, what does that tell you about the scope of this investigation?
Well, when you see that, you know right away that it's much larger than the arrest of the two women that they've already announced the arrest for. Clearly, the FBI and Homeland Security investigations, along with Texas authorities, would be looking much deeper into this case. They would start by investigating these two, but they want to learn more. There's a bigger ring behind this. There's somebody with power, money, effort, and they're doing a lot of this work behind the scenes. And just picking off one or two people that are involved with this, that's not the goal of the federal authorities here. They're looking to get a much bigger fish in this case.
And Richard, from your experience with the FBI, are these kinds of charges typically associated with larger criminal organizations, or can they involve smaller operations as well?
There can be small operations that are kind of like tentacles off of a larger one, but this could be cartels, different drug agencies, criminal elements, criminal gangs do this to raise money. Even terrorist organizations have been known to do smuggling, charging exorbitant prices to move people across the border and then use that money to further other criminal activity. So it's most likely a larger element that is here. We may or may not hear about it, and it may take a while because the FBI and HSI, that's Homeland Security Investigations, they'll have developed intelligence and information on this. They may talk to these two women who've been arrested. They may try and make a deal with them, get some information that could lead to additional people higher up the chain. That's always the goal of the feds.
And what stands out to you most about these charges announced in this case?
That was a big hammer that they brought out for this case, what we heard about today. Not just human smuggling, getting people across the border, as you know, a very common crime. The last couple of years, though, certainly they've worked to tighten down the border and try and stop some of this smuggling. Like, human smuggling is very dangerous. It's not just the illegal activity that goes on, but it's dangerous for the people that are being smuggled. People that cross the border are in harm's way from just natural elements, criminal elements, people taking advantage of them. Women are often abused. So it's a very dangerous thing. And finding it and seeing these charges, you know there's more behind what we heard about today in court.
And there are still a lot of questions, Rich, about this investigation. The FBI described Tuesday's activity as a court-authorized operation. What does it generally take for the FBI to reach the point of executing an operation like this?
Well, when we do learn more about it, if it actually ends up in trial and you hear about the background, you'll find out this was not a quick two-day investigation. There was certainly information or intelligence that came to the federal authorities in one manner or another, whether it was somebody else who was smuggled across the border, maybe an electronic intercept, a search warrant somewhere else, and they began to build the intelligence on this case. It took time. You'll see it took more time than just what it seems to have taken. And they'll have put this together. They have this case. They have these two women, and this is just going to be the building blocks of a bigger, larger investigation, which clearly has been going on already for a while.
And my last question for you, Rich. Many, viewers hear the term human smuggling and immediately think human trafficking. Can you explain the difference?
Yeah, it's kind of a bad choice of words, written actually hundreds of years ago for U.S. laws. When people hear human trafficking, they think that's moving people around, and it's really not. Human trafficking is to bring somebody to a certain place for either exploiting them for labor or sex work. So those are the basic two elements of the charge for human trafficking. Human smuggling is what we're talking about here, where they've moved people across the border illegally, avoided border checkpoints, haven't gone through the proper procedures. And then to complicate things even more, we talked about some false documents here. The false documents fall under the human trafficking schedule of criminal activity. So you got to really sort through it, read through the federal criminal procedures here to see what's what. But at some point, one of the prosecutors will explain this, whether it's in a courtroom or a press conference, but we'll hear and learn more about it. But yeah, and I looked at the web story the station put up where you explained the difference between human trafficking and human smuggling. So I encourage everybody watching tonight to just jump online there, go ahead and read the story, and they'll get a better understanding of what those crimes are.
Alrighty, Richard Coco, a retired FBI agent, thank you so much for your insight.